All right, welcome to another deep dive. And today we're diving headfirst into the world of English idioms.
The phrases that, well, they make you sound like you really know what you're talking about.
Like you're not just learning from a textbook.
Exactly.
We're working with a script, actually, from an English lesson all about these advanced phrases.
And rather than just running through all of them, we thought it would be fun to pick out some of the most colorful ones.
Yeah, the ones that really make you go, that's a cool way to say that.
And try to understand not just what they mean, but like how they work, what makes them tick.
Okay, so the first one that jumped out at me, I mean, who doesn't love a good secret? But then you've got someone like begging you to spill the beans.
Right. Yes, spill the beans. It's all about revealing a secret or a surprise.
Yeah, and it's not just about giving away the information.
No, there's a sense of anticipation, a little bit of mischief maybe even.
Right, like imagine you're planning a surprise party.
Oh, yeah?
And everyone's trying so hard to keep it quiet. But you can just see the excitement bubbling over. And that's when you say, come on, spill the beans. Who else is in on this?
Exactly. And you know, the funny thing is spill the beans, it actually has a really interesting history.
Oh, does it?
It goes all the way back to ancient Greece, where voting, believe it or not, was often done using beans. White beans meant yes, and black beans meant no.
Oh, wow.
So if you, say, accidentally knocked over the container,
you'd be revealing the results, literally spilling the beans.
You got it. I mean, isn't that fascinating? Each of these little phrases,
yeah,
it's like a little window into the past.
Yeah. Speaking of the past, this next one, by the skin of your teeth, I mean, that just paints such a vivid picture in my mind.
It does, and it means barely escaping disaster. You know, achieving something, but only just...
Yeah, like by the narrowest margin possible.
I always picture someone like sprinting to catch a train just as the doors are closing.
Oh, yeah. And they make it on just barely.
Out of breath, heart pounding.
Yeah, and there's this incredible feeling of relief.
That sense of, I can't believe I made it.
Right, like against all odds.
And it's something, you know, we all connect with.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We love those stories of close calls and narrow escapes.
Okay, this next phrase isn't quite as triumphant. In fact, it's kind of brutal. Throw someone under the bus.
Yeah, this one definitely has a darker edge to it.
Doesn't it? It implies betrayal, right? Like to save yourself.
Exactly, often at the expense of someone else.
Like in a really cutthroat environment.
You see it a lot, unfortunately, in workplaces, maybe even just in social situations.
Yeah, those times when you need to protect your own reputation, even if it means sacrificing someone else.
Right.
Not a pretty picture. Like taking credit for someone else's work or blaming them for your own mistakes.
Yeah, definitely not a compliment to be thrown under the bus.
Not at all. Okay, let's lighten the mood a bit. What about barking up the wrong tree? I mean, I can't help but smile when I hear that one.
It's such a great visual, isn't it?
It is. Like picturing this dog just going crazy at the base of a tree.
And meanwhile, the squirrel is like way off in the bushes somewhere.
Totally oblivious.
And it's a perfect metaphor for, well, pursuing a mistaken course of action.
Like you're totally on the wrong track.
Yeah, but what I love is the tone. It's often delivered with a kind of a playful, gentle nudge.
It's like, hey, I think you might want to rethink this one, buddy.
Exactly. Speaking of wrong tracks, have you ever noticed how bad luck seems to come in waves?
Oh, yeah. It's like when it rains, it pours.
And that's where add insult to injury comes in.
It's like the universe is piling on.
It is. You lose your keys, your phone dies, you miss the bus, all in the same morning.
It's like, come on, give me a break.
And this phrase really gets at that feeling of, you know, a bad situation becoming even worse.
Like a little extra kick while you're already down.
And I think even though it's describing something negative, there's a certain humor in it.
There is. It's like finding the absurdity in the midst of chaos.
Exactly. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about some phrases that are, well, a bit more about everyday life, like run-of-the-mill.
This one's all about the ordinary, the unremarkable.
Yeah, your average Tuesday afternoon kind of stuff.
Nothing special, just the usual.
But you know, there's something to be said for the ordinary.
There is. Like, it's not always about the big, exciting things, right?
Right. Sometimes it's the familiar, the comfortable that we really crave.
Like that local coffee shop you always go to.
Yeah.
Nothing fancy, but it's just...
Right? Exactly. Now, on the flip side, we have a dime a dozen.
Oh, this one's interesting. So this means something is super common, right?
Extremely common, and therefore not very valuable.
It's like those trends that everyone jumps on for 5 minutes and then forgets about.
Oh, yeah. Like, remember fidget spinners?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Mm.
Those were everywhere and then poof. gone.
A dime a dozen.
Yeah.
And it makes you think, do we value things less when they're easy to get?
That's a good point. Maybe it's a reminder to appreciate what we have, even the simple things.
Right. Because what's common to one person might be a treasure to another.
Absolutely. Well said.
Okay, so speaking of valuing what we have, sometimes we need to, hit the ground running.
Ah, yes. Hit the ground running.
Yeah.
This one's all about starting strong.
Right. Being ready to go from the get-go. Full speed ahead.
Like starting a new job or launching a big project.
It's that feeling of, I'm prepared, I'm motivated, and I'm going to give it my all.
Yeah. You're not wasting any time.
No hesitation. And I think there's a real sense of enthusiasm in this phrase.
I agree. It's about being excited to tackle a challenge.
It really is. Okay, I think we have time for one more before we take a little break.
Okay, let's go for it.
So this one is, it's about reaching a breaking point. You know that moment when you've just had enough?
The last straw. I know exactly what you mean.
That's the one, that final incident that just pushes you over the edge.
I think you've been putting up with something for ages, and then bam, there's one little thing and you snap.
It's the straw that breaks the camel's back, as they say.
And it could be anything, right?
Yeah.
Like a series of small annoyances that just build up.
Or one big thing that just sends you over the edge.
And it's a reminder, I think, that we all have our limits.
Absolutely. Sometimes you just got to say, enough is enough.
Well, we'll be back in a moment with even more of these fascinating English phrases.
We're just getting started.
So stay tuned.
All right, welcome back to the deep dive. We are uncovering all the mysteries behind these colorful English phrases.
Yeah, these sayings that we use all the time, but maybe haven't really stopped to think about.
Right, like where they come from.
Yeah, or what they really mean.
Exactly.
Okay, so next up we have one that I think everyone can relate to, up in the air.
Ah, yes. Up in the air. It's that feeling of uncertainty. Like when things are undecided, plans are on hold. You're just kind of waiting to see what happens.
It's that feeling of like limbo, almost.
Yeah, it is. Like imagine you're waiting to hear back about a job offer or like a college acceptance.
Oh yeah, those are definitely up in the air moments.
Big time. And your whole life kind of feels like it's hanging in the balance.
It really does. It's nerve-wracking.
But also, there's a sense of possibility too. Things could go either way.
That's true. It could be good or bad. We just don't know yet.
Exactly. Okay, this next phrase, it's not quite as lighthearted. A tough pill to swallow.
Ooh. Yeah, this one is about facing reality, even when it's hard.
Like accepting something you don't want to accept.
But you have to. Like, what if your favorite band broke up?
Oof. Yeah, that would be...
That would be a tough pill to swallow.
For sure, especially if you're a diehard fan.
Right. Or what if you're really hoping for a promotion, but it goes to someone else?
Oh, yeah. Those are those moments where it's like, ugh, okay, got to deal with this.
And sometimes those tough pills, they force us to grow.
That's true. Maybe it's a chance to discover something new, a new path.
Yeah, sometimes you got to close one door to open another one, right?
Absolutely.
Mm.
Okay, so this next phrase always makes me think of those like epic movie montage scenes, where the hero is training and getting ready for the big challenge.
Oh, pull out all the stops. That's a good one.
That's it. It's about giving something your absolute all, putting in maximum effort.
Yeah, like you're holding nothing back.
Right. Imagine you're planning a huge event like a wedding or a big fundraiser.
You could pull out all the stops to make it amazing.
You got it. It's about going above and beyond, exceeding expectations.
Yeah. No half measures here.
Right. Okay, this next one just conjures up such a vivid image, caught red-handed.
It's like something straight out of a detective movie.
It is. You can practically see the scene, the culprit standing there, the evidence right there in their hands.
There's no denying it, no escape.
They're busted. And there's something about that, that moment of being caught. It's just so dramatic.
Yeah, like the jig is up.
It speaks to our fascination with justice, We want to see the truth revealed.
Okay, so let's talk about go the extra mile. This one's all about effort, isn't it?
It is. It's about going above and beyond what's expected, putting in that extra effort.
Not just doing the bare minimum.
No, it's about exceeding expectations, showing that you really care.
Like if a coworker stays late to help you with a project.
Even though they don't have to.
Yeah, that's definitely going the extra mile.
It can be the little things too, like taking the time to really listen to someone.
Or offering to help out when you see someone struggling.
Exactly. It's about being thoughtful, considerate.
Yeah, those little acts of kindness that make a big difference.
Absolutely. And lastly, we have a phrase that perfectly captures, the power of trends.
Jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
This one's about joining the crowd, right?
It is. It's about embracing something that's popular, maybe a new trend, a movement.
Like when a new song comes out and suddenly everyone's listening to it.
Or a new fashion trend emerges and everyone's wearing it.
Yeah, it's like this irresistible force that pulls people in.
And while it can sometimes have a negative connotation, like, oh, you're just following the crowd.
Right.
But it also speaks to this human need to belong.
Yeah, to be part of something bigger than ourselves.
It's fascinating, isn't it? That tension between individuality and conformity.
It really is. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here with these 15 phrases.
We have, and it makes you realize just how much richness and depth there is in everyday language.
Yeah, we use these phrases all the time, but maybe we haven't really stopped to appreciate the stories they tell.
The history, the imagery, the emotions they evoke.
It's amazing. But before we wrap up, we have one final thought-provoking question for you.
All right, let's hear it.
What new phrases do you think will emerge in the future? What words and expressions will capture the essence of our times? That's a question that really makes you think, doesn't it?
It does.
As we wrap up our deep dive into these fascinating phrases,
Yeah.
it really gets you wondering, what will people be saying 100 years from now?
Right, like what new expressions will they come up with?
Especially with all the technology changing so fast.
Oh, yeah. Like imagine the phrases that might come out of the metaverse or, space travel.
Ooh, space travel. That's a good one.
Like,
We might start saying things like, oh man, I'm feeling so meta-fatigued, or, oh, my avatar needs a serious style upgrade.
I love it.
Or like, imagine phrases inspired by space travel.
Oh, yeah, like let's blast off to that new restaurant.
Oh.
Or that movie was a total black hole of boredom.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right.
And it's not just about new words.
Right. Not at all.
Like, think about how the meaning of viral has completely changed because of social media.
Oh, absolutely. That's a perfect example.
So these phrases, they're not static. They evolve along with us.
That's what makes language so fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. So as we conclude our deep dive today, I think the biggest takeaway is to stay curious.
Right. Keep your ears open.
Exactly. Pay attention to the way people are speaking, the new words they're using, the creative ways they're expressing themselves.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to experiment with your own language, too.
Right. Try out some of these phrases we've talked about, see how they feel.
You might even invent some new phrases of your own.
You never know. Because language is all about communication, connection, and creativity, right?
Absolutely.
So go out there and have fun with it.
Happy language exploring.